In this video, I will show how to solve a quadratic equation using the square root property. And first, let me remind you that to solve a quadratic equation using the square root property, we first isolate the square. Then we use the square root property. And let me remind you what the square root property is. The square root property says if you have something squared equals to a positive number, then what was squared is either plus or minus the square root of that non-negative number. And let's see how this property can be used when solving a quadratic equation. So first I'm going to isolate this square. So x plus 1 squared needs to be isolated, and I'm going to add 4 to both sides. And then after that, I'm still going to isolate it, so I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So x plus 1 squared is equal to 4. And now we can use the square root property, which says that what's inside of the square, basically what's inside of the parentheses, x plus 1, will be equal to plus or minus the square root of the number on the right hand side. So that number is 4. So square root of 4 is 2. Therefore we have x plus 1 equals to plus or minus 2. So plus or minus is just a abbreviation for saying that what's inside of the square root is either positive square root or it is negative square root. So eventually we would have to interpret it as two equations. So x plus 1 is equal to 2, or x plus 1 equals to negative 2. And now we don't have a quadratic equation anymore here. We just have two linear equations which we solve by isolating the variables. So x equals 1 or x equals negative 3. So these are the two solutions of the original quadratic equation.